fairy book land of myths and veils, guarded by imposing castles, embodied by the crown, this tiny island that once ruled the world has had a complex relationship with India.
The Indian diaspora that makes an enormous contribution to Britain.
Indians are extremely good business people.
Indians has got a reputation in the UK for being successful, for studying, for being law-abiding.
We all came as a shopkeeper, and today we are hoteliers, manufacturers, in pharmacies, food. Indian diaspora has done very well.
There's 10,000 businesses here in London run by people from within the Indian community, and many of those businesses are very large businesses.
The diaspora that have come from India into the United Kingdom have made a huge difference to this country. Quite literally, they've built cities with their hands, with their money, with their resources, with their talents and with their skills.
In sports, in business, in art, you name it, Indians are reaching the very top. And that glass ceiling has been absolutely shattered.
It's not a strange thing to see an Indian person interviewing a huge A-list star, or even being the huge A-list star. And we've made our mark, and we are continuing to move forward.
Food, fashion, sport, culture, and even language have only blossomed from the ebb and flow. The give and take that has marked this very special bond between India and the United Kingdom.
I think the relationship goes back historically, clearly, to the days of empire, some of which was good and some of which was, of course, less good. So I think the links between India and the UK go back many, many centuries. I think that's why so many people in India speak English, and that's why we have a natural empathy with one another.
Keeping these historic relations going are Britain's Indians. The tiny Indian diaspora in UK, just 3% of the population, have long punched much above their weight. Their colors shimmer through the land. Their flavors spice every aspect of life in this country that's become home. These people that have become family. As London sheds slumberous sleep and raises its face to an eastern dawn, Billingsgate Market repeats centuries-old rhythms as it bustles to feed the city.
They're very much an integral part of the city, and of course, they also provide Londoners with their favourite source of food, which of course is the Indian restaurant, and there's a lot of those in London.
And playing his part in what was once the largest fish market in the world is Atul Kochhar, the first Indian chef to receive the coveted Michelin star.
Morning, gentlemen. How are you? Good to see you.
We're working together a few years now. Come down the market, he tells me what he likes, and I'll tell him if we've got it, if it's fresh enough. If it's not good enough, I won't sell it to him.
First few years, I spent learning what British life means, what British agriculture means, what British fishery means. And slowly but surely, I've embraced all that into my food.
After picking his ingredients, he heads towards his restaurant, Benares, to prepare a lip-smacking meal. His restaurant functions like a slick machine.
Good morning, everyone. We have beautiful John Dory, which we'll be prepping today. So I want you guys to just help me through the process. Let's kick it. Michelin stars or recognition by different guides was not even thought of, really speaking. And I set out from that day that I'm going to change the perception. Looking back, after a good 20 years or so, we are 6 of us who hold Michelin stars. In my restaurant, you have to book in 3 weeks in advance, otherwise forget it, you can't get in.
Today, he's cooking his version of a legendary British dish, fish and mushy peas.
I love mushy peas. I love British mushy peas, and I love mushy peas from India, which is from Benares actually. They call it Nena. I have done the same flavor, and the Britishness comes from by adding a little bit of cream while crushing it, so that it just gives a nice smooth blend. And it goes well with my fish. The tomato looks amazing. It's a very British plate with Indian flavor. As I lived in the United Kingdom and practiced what I loved, I saw it as a very fair country.
and I felt very much home here. One of the biggest aspects of India that is a daily part of British life is Indian food. Britain is a nation of curryholics.
Home of the chicken tikka masala, Britain's love for Indian food speaks for how wholeheartedly it's accepted the diaspora and proved the gateway to wealth for many Indians. Doing more to encourage this craze for Indian curry is noted chef and author Monisha Bhardwaj.
I started my own cooking school about 8 years ago. It's called Cooking with Monisha. And this was in response to the fact that more and more people are now wanting to cook Indian food at home. My school specializes in home-style, healthy, delicious, easy cooking, which I think everyone wants now.
Taking a much more personal approach, Monisha invites students into a home that's also the venue for her class, Cooking with Monisha.
The people who come to my school are mainly non-Indians, but they come from all over the world. So I've had people come from America, from Canada, from all over Europe, from as far as Japan.
The camaraderie of home cooking builds bonds and encourages students from every background to come and savor spices they've never seen, flavors they've only dreamed.
I think everyone can cook if they have a passion for it. Do you want a curry that is very spicy or very medium? Very spicy.
Well, no, we'll have to take average for me.
What would you like?
Me spicy.
Very?
I love it. Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10?
10. No, maybe not.
Simple home cooking is Monisha's mantra. Once the right instructions are given, it's time for her students to take center stage. The table is laid and the ladies relish their result. But when cooking a meal from scratch isn't the answer, another enterprising Indian, Lord Noon, has stepped in with a solution. One of the pioneers in bringing authentic Indian food to the British table is Noon Products, the single largest producer of frozen Indian food. They are not content to rest on their laurels, mining regional cuisines in India and Asia.
We work on all different types of recipes from cuisines all over the world. Obviously, we focus more on Indian and Oriental, but we also have expertise in other areas.
The reason for their success lies in fierce quality checks that ensure their customers are never left with a bad taste.
Well, I think clearly the UK is a very diverse culture now. UK population travel a lot, so they are finding new recipes and new dishes that they want to try. I guess they perhaps don't know how to cook it themselves, so they're looking for companies such as ourselves to be able to make it for them.
And the mastermind behind this mecca of taste is Lord Noon.
We are the major players in particularly in United Kingdom for supplying chilled Indian or any Chinese, Thai, continental, all sorts of food. And we manufacture approximately 500,000 meals per day.
Lord Noon, I think, is a very good example with his food production, which started very small and has become huge. That sort of example is the changing nature of Indian businesses and the growing nature and the growing importance of Indian businesses in London.
When I started this company, I got my MBE from the Queen. Therefore, it's important to remember that if you work hard in this country, you are recognized.
Another man who has been recognized for his hard work and commitment over the last 50 years is Vitabiotics' Dr. Kartar Singh Lalwani.
I went straight into manufacture my research product, patented product, are manufactured and sell them here and export them.
In the early 70s, Kartar Lalwani started his pharmacy company at a time when Indians were considered good traders but not researchers. Never one to let uneven odds stop him, Kartar Lalwani grew Vitabiotics into Britain's largest nutritional health supplement company. Beyond building empires, the Diaspora has developed a talent for giving back. Perhaps the best known and most widely appreciated of all British Indian philanthropy efforts is Lord Swaraj Paul's contribution to saving London's iconic zoo. This magnificent gesture is a gift from a loving father to the city and zoo that gave him so much precious time with his beloved daughter.
We're very fortunate that Lord Paul has been a supporter of ours for a very long time. It was a good 20 years or so that he made a very large donation for our children's zoo, and he asked for it to be in memory of his daughter Ambika, and it became the Ambika Paul Children's Zoo, and that was a great start for that whole area for us. It was an important time because the zoo was having a tough time financially, and Lord Paul's very generous support at that time really helped a large part of the zoo move forward, develop, and become a wonderful feature for London Zoo, for families ever since then.
A place where Lord Paul sees the same joy and laughter that he once saw in Ambika, who loved to come here as a respite between grueling bouts of cancer.
In 1966, my daughter fell ill, and we brought her for treatment. We were here for 22 months looking after her, and then unfortunately we lost her. The zoo has become a very sentimental place from my point of view, because I do this thing. I have dedicated my business to Ambika. I mean, I think she's just a guiding hand.
The Ambika Paul Children's Zoo has flourished, bringing joy to many families and peace to its benefactors.
There is no other entertainment in the world where I have seen, and I have seen lots of parts of the world, where children and parents can interact with each other in that manner.
Like Lord Swaraj Paul, Lord Meghnad Desai has contributed hugely, first to intellectual life and then public service in the United Kingdom. Yet this baron, feted at home and abroad, chooses to balance his outsized contribution with a low-key lifestyle.
I have multiple identities. I have an Indian identity, but most of the time I have a British identity. I don't lose my Indian identity, but I don't need to display it when I'm dealing in most of the time in British culture. And that has been a great advantage.
At home, away from worldly debates, Lord Desai spends time with his life's passion, books and writing, which eventually led him to his other great love, his wife.
We brought together because I had written this book on Dilip Kumar, and Kishore was the managing editor of that manuscript. That's how we met. So we met through book writing.
Love finds various paths, even if it means migrating. Whether for love, opportunity, education, or leisure.
I started living here only after meeting my husband, Meghnad Desai. He decided that we were going to get married sometime soon. It was a very pleasant decision that he took, and it ended up with me relocating to the UK.
A popular landing place in England is Leicester, a city that boasts the UK's highest ethnic diversity. And representing this multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnic New Britannia is Keith Vaz.
This is the centre of the Asian community in Britain. People arrived here 30 years ago and transformed what was a rundown area into one of the most impressive shopping areas in the world. Hello, ladies. Are you lost? Where are you from? Nottingham. Nottingham. You see, there are people from all over the country. They've even come from Nottingham to Leicester. I'm Keith Vaz. I'm the MP for Leicester.
The country's longest-serving Asian MP, Keith, is frequently named among Britain's most influential Asians. Like the rest of England, in Leicester too, the Diaspora have contributed hugely to the city's growth without losing touch with their roots.
I think the Indian community has achieved so much in a very short space of time because, one, this is a culture that is strong and productive. Secondly, because they've been dedicated, hard-working, they've not relied on benefits. And since we recently discovered that Prince William may well have Indian blood in him through a previous ancestor, I think that's going to help enormously. I always thought he was a cousin of mine, and now I know he is.
Cousins or not, the brotherhood goes back to the world wars, where Indians and Britons fought shoulder to shoulder.
So you find some very, very interesting photographs showing Indian soldiers and British soldiers fighting next to each other, side by side.
A memorial to those brave soldiers was constructed in London, close to Buckingham Palace. A memorial which wouldn't have happened without Baroness Flather.
Our men did a very good job. They weren't just cannon fodder. In the Second World War, as I said, they were crucial. So I think London is the place where they should be remembered.
The size particularly of the contingents from countries like India, which exceeded 1 million, are just breathtaking, really. On top of that, there was the huge support that India as a country gave to the British and other nations who were serving in that part of the world. So it wasn't just the Indian military, it was the Indian civilians who contributed hugely.
We did come and stand by them when they most needed our help. And why do you think people have come here? Why do you think the immigration started? It started because of the war.
With an economy devastated by war, suffering the loss of a significant proportion of its population, Britain appealed to men and women from across the empire to come rebuild factories, restart industry, and reignite the economy.
Britain actively encouraged migration to Britain to help rebuild the country after the end of the Second World War. Also to recruit doctors and nurses for the newly founded NHS, which happened in 1948.
Their toil reshaped Britain, and their success helped build the path to migration for the next wave of Indian immigrants who came here via Africa.
The real change took place when the East African Indians came. They went into small businesses and then the children went into professions.
Thrown out of one country, determined to prove their worth in a new one, East African Indians worked long and hard, revolutionizing retail and offering much greater convenience to British consumers.
What is ignored is the many mom-and-pop entrepreneurial stories which are hidden below the carpet. And these are the boys and girls and the men and women who have really reshaped the enterprise mindset of a new country. By going there, many came from Africa, many came from India.
The sorts of businesses that Indian businesses have been, in many cases, traditional businesses, import, export, and shops. And I think that has grown into something bigger.
Economic success helped pave the path to social acceptance, changing the way Indians were viewed by the British.